Quick spoiler warning, for the first 3 books in the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson, you're going to want to read those. The Steel Ministry is the corrupt government organization set up by the immortal tyrant of Scadrial, the Lord Ruler. Now, they are considered clergy, but they more so focus on the bureaucracy and policing of the Final Empire. The Steel Ministry is made up of different cantons, each with a wide range of responsibilities. Working within these cantons are acolytes and obligators, both of which have tattoos around their eyes to indicate their rank and which canton they're from, receiving more tattoos as they progress in rank. The lowest rank are the Prelans, then there's the High Prelans and the Lord Prelans. An obligator from the Canton of Orthodoxy, the most common official in Luthadel, are consulted to witness or approve pretty much any noble business, both important and mundane. Whether it be a deal or a bet between 2 people, receiving inheritance or getting married, an obligator must be present. It's actually said if an obligator hasn't witnessed an event or sealed documents, it might as well not have happened. They collect tax from these legal issues, and they also teach the Lord Ruler's doctrine to Ska and nobles. As far as recruitment, obligators are recruited from the ranks of nobles, many of which are allomancers. Now let's talk about each canton, 4 of which are named throughout the series. There's actually a 5th canton mentioned in Rod of Copper, which is a Terra supplement book for the Mistborn adventure game. This was the Canton of Hegemony. They're the ones responsible for the suppression of ferochemists being born. And they basically tried to commit genocide on ferochemists and anyone connected to them. But they were disbanded and the Canton of Inquisition took their place. So moving on to the Canton of Finance, which is basically Luthadel's bank. If you remember back to the first book, this is the canton that Kammen's crew organized a theft on, where Vin used emotional allomancy, causing an Inquisitor to be set on her trail, and eventually leading to her joining Kelsier's crew. Next is the Canton of Resource. This one deals with trade, transport, and taxation. They're in charge of maintaining supply lines as well as feeding the people and cleaning the canals. The national headquarters was located in Luthadel, while the regional HQ was in Fadrex City, and this one housed one of the Lord Ruler's supply caches. Eridan Yeoman is an obligator from this canton. Now, the Canton of Orthodoxy is the canton that holds organizational dominance over the other 3 cantons, the third one being the Canton of Inquisition, which I'll talk about next. To quote from Justice Like Ash, which is a module of the Terra supplement in the Mistborn adventure game, though the Canton of Finance keeps extensive financial records, and the Canton of Resource knows every food store and mine in the Empire, the Canton of Orthodoxy keeps records on its people. The largest single archive of information on the activities of citizens of the Final Empire. Records from informants, reports on allegiance to the Lord Ruler, histories of the relationships between noble houses. If you want to know what someone is up to, has been up to, or maybe will be up to, this is the place to check. So the Canton of Orthodoxy, and really just the Steel Ministry in general, is kind of like Big Brother. Now, the Canton of Orthodoxy has a long-standing rivalry with the Canton of Inquisition, as the Inquisitors believe they should have dominance over the other cantons. The highest-ranking obligator is Lord Prelan Tevedian Tekel, who is Vin's father, and he runs the Canton of Orthodoxy. To try and get on the Lord Ruler's good side, the Inquisitors wanted to find some dirt on the Lord Prelan, so one of them named Bendel hunted down Reen, Vin's brother, to try and get him to admit that Tevedian had a half-breed child out there. But Reen dies, promising that Vin starved to death long ago. This didn't convince the Inquisitors, and eventually Carr, a different Inquisitor, captures Vin and brings her to the Lord Ruler. Once pressed, Vin admits the Lord Prelan is her father. He's then killed, and the Canton of Inquisition, with Carr at their head, is given authority over the Steel Ministry.
Your point is proven, Carr. It seems that I have trusted too much in the obedience of mankind. I did not make a mistake. I have never made a mistake. However, it is time for a change. Gather the High Prelans and bring them here. Rouse them from their beds, if need be. They will witness as I grant the Canton of Inquisition command and authority over the ministry.
And, well, this leads me to the Canton of Inquisition, and this is the canton that acts as law enforcement, specifically over the use of allomancy. Obligators of this canton have the normal eye tattoos with an addition of a red line. They would also set up bases around the city of Luthadel known as soothing stations. Here, soothers would dampen the emotions of everyone in the area, making Ska more docile and less likely to rebel. But let's talk about the Inquisitors. I'll start by addressing the elephant in the room, and by elephant, I mean the big steel spikes that are their eyes. It's no secret that the Inquisitors are really creepy looking. I mean, they're one of the Lord Ruler's hemalurgic creations. They have 11 spikes in their body charged with an allomantic or ferochemical power. They have 2 spikes for eyes, which you think, well, hey, they wouldn't be able to see, but these actually allow them to see as if they're constantly burning steel or iron, only more powerful. They can detect the faintest amount of metal, even in human bodies, making them see people and buildings all in blue lines. They also have a spike in the middle of their spine and 8 spikes in their torso. So with the ability to use all of the allomantic powers and some ferochemical powers, they become fighting machines, with many of them having fast healing abilities and showing an indifference to pain. According to Yeoman, the Lord Ruler originally created 16 Inquisitors, and after Ruin was freed, he also used 16 Inquisitors to further his plans. If you watched my video on the deepness, then you would see another connection to the number 16. Now, the actual creation of Inquisitors is kinda gross. Metal spikes are hammered through the hearts of Mistings or Ferochemists into the new Inquisitor, and these spikes are inserted at various parts in the subject's body, moving around vital organs, allowing the subject to not be fatally wounded. That just gives me the chills. Inquisitors are chosen from the Canton based on merit and allomantic ability. Mistborn and Seekers are obviously the preferred, as once spiked, the strength of their allomancy is basically doubled, and their enhanced seeking ability allows them to pierce copper clouds, and piercing copper clouds helps them seek out half-ska allomancers. As we know, Marsh, Kelsier's brother, was originally a seeker-turned-obligator spy for the Ska Rebellion. Unfortunately, he ended up being chosen to become a Steel Inquisitor, after which he was slowly corrupted by Ruin, yet he still managed to hold on to a small part of himself, which he later used to break Ruin's control and help Vin. In a conversation with Vin, Marsh mentions how the spikes constantly hurt him, even after the operation. You might remember in the Well of Ascension, Sazed and Marsh visit a place called the Conventicle of Saran, which is a fortress for the Canton of Inquisition that the Inquisitors took refuge in after the Lord Ruler's death. It's situated at the bottom of a large depression in the land, almost like a crater. Here, Sazed finds the table used to make new Inquisitors. He also finds Quan's inscription, which become the epigraphs for the next book. Now I think, though Ruin wasn't freed at this time, that he still had enough power over the Inquisitors to make Marsh set up Sazed into finding Quan's inscription. It's described a few times how Marsh was acting odd, and also it just so happens the conventicle was empty at the time of their arrival. Ruin can't read the words engraved in metal, so he needed somebody to copy them down. As we know, he ends up corrupting Sazed's copy. Another important thing to know about Marsh is that he's the one to reveal the Inquisitor's weak spot to Vin. Much like Kandra or Kolos, the Lord Ruler intentionally built weaknesses into the Inquisitors so that he could control them. The largest weakness is the big off switch between their shoulder blades. They have a spike there that connects to the lower and upper spikes, effectively acting as a linchpin, which when removed, kills the Inquisitor. Inquisitors can also be controlled by a powerful duralumin-enhanced soothing, as their spikes create tears in their spirit web, making them more vulnerable to emotional allomancy. This also allowed Ruin to speak to them once he was freed. And the Lord Ruler just didn't make them with all the powers hemalurgy had to offer. After the collapse, Ruin gains a lot of control over the Inquisitors. I mean, their goal is basically to just destroy everything at this point. To do this, he gives them some advantages, such as ordering them to attack the remaining Terrace people to create ferochemical charge spikes, and he allows them to use a metal plate to cover the linchpin between their shoulder blades. So not only do they become even harder to defeat than they already were, but they also get to hide one of their weaknesses. Alright, so now I'm going to quickly mention some spoilers from the Wax and Wayne series, which takes place 300 years in the future, so feel free to skip ahead if you haven't read these yet. In these books, we learn that Harmony melted down the Inquisitor's spikes to make earrings, and these were given to the members of the Path. The Kandra named Milan, which you might remember from the first trilogy, is the one to give Wax his earring, allowing Harmony to communicate with him. Now, after all this time, the Inquisitors are no longer remembered, but they're depicted as ravens in artwork and are known as the Lord Ruler's Wraiths. The only surviving Inquisitor is Marsh, and he's no longer under Ruin's control. He's known as the mythological being Iron Eyes, who's sort of a personification of death. Ironically, this was the same nickname Marsh had before becoming an Inquisitor. We first get to see his appearance in these books when he talks to Marassi in the epilogue of the Alloy of Law. It's not directly stated that this is Marsh, but I mean, there's obvious clues for fans to pick up on. Let me know your thoughts on the Steel Ministry. I personally found them very, very creepy, definitely worthy of being an antagonist in this book series. Marsh, on the other hand, Marsh is one of my favorite characters. Like, he had to go through so much, and I would definitely recommend reading Mistborn: A Secret History, which is a short story you can find in Arcanum Unbounded. It gives a bit more details about Marsh, as well as a bunch of other characters. I think it is definitely a must-read for anybody who's a Mistborn fan. Not to mention, it kind of introduces you to the Cosmere. Anyway, make sure to hit the like button and hit the bell if you want to be notified for when I make new videos. You can also check out my Etsy shop if you're interested. I appreciate it so much, you guys, and I will be getting on a regular upload schedule. I know I've said that before, but life has just been pretty hectic, but that will be happening soon. I have a few videos I'm working on that I am so excited to share with you guys this month. So yeah, I guess that is about it, and I will say goodbye. I don't know how to end videos.